How are the Chiefs going to make decisions in this draft cycle for the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career? This is how it starts today on RGR. Welcome back, everybody. I am on vacation, traveling a little bit, and I'm outside the country right now, but I wanted to get you a mock draft. So I'm recording this a few days early. You're going to see this on Tuesday night, the 25th. I am getting this done a few days ahead of that. So just want to make sure that you know where I'm coming from. We're going to try to go through this right now. And I'm going to kick it off with one that I just recorded. I'm just going to do this myself. I'm going to make decisions. You guys are going to like them or you're not going to like them. And you're going to vote in the comments section on the comments on the video. Now, if you don't know me, my name's Ryan. I've been working in football related, whether consulting or coaching or media for the last like 20 years. So a lot of experience, strength and conditioning coach, been through this a lot. I run the Athletic Matrix. If you want that, go get it now at rogueapc.com. It is out and it is available. Use the code RGR, you'll get a discount. Definitely hang in there because if you buy V1 right now, you'll get V2 when it comes out, when we update from all the pro days. We are also working on the draft guide. As you guys know, we're always going to get that out and up there because that is what we do. We're reviewing right now. Our friends at Underdog are sponsoring this show as well as our offseason. So check it out. It's available in Missouri now. You can get in the action on the rest of March Madness, as well as everything going on for hockey, baseball, et cetera, and get in the action over there and use our code RGR at Underdog Fantasy. I'm going to leave this the way that most are set up so that we can just get through this. I'm recording on a tiny laptop here in a hotel room, folks, so no visual from me today. The camera is not cooperating, so just going to do the audio thing here, and we'll go through it. I'm going to leave the board a little bit more towards the public side than the PFF side. I'm boosting up the positional value as well as the draft for knees because I think that reflects what actually goes on in the league, as well as a little bit of randomness. I'm using PFF's mock draft simulator because I think it's the best one going right now, and it's out there and it's good. And I'm trying to replicate what most of us outside the industry do, whether it's reporters, consultants like me, outside coaches. This is what we use to kind of emulate the league. So let's get after it. We're going to do fast, not turbo, 7 rounds for the Chiefs, and we're going to get entered there. Now, we know the Chiefs have some fish to fry here, but they've done a good job in free agency setting themselves up so they can take the best player available at a position that helps them immediately or helps them compete. So that means offensive tackle is not off of the table here. It means the defensive front, both positions, should be high on the table. It also means that wide receiver, cornerback are going to be on there as well. Later in the draft, we'll look at filling in some of those. We'll look at linebackers, running backs, etc. later in the draft. But our top 100 is going to be focused. We'll entertain some picks here, some trades, but I don't anticipate a whole lot. And we'll get into that when we start doing the live mock drafts together, where I run you through and let you guys decide in the chat. We run those every year, and we're going to start those coming up next week. So this is just a preview. I'm going to get started, and we'll get it taken away. And I'm going to stop here around 20 and see what it's been doing. A lot of edges, some wide receivers. Ibuka went pretty early. I'm hoping that isn't the case, but, I'd like to see him available at 31 or something like that. So far, it has not been much of a tackle run, and so I'm going to pause it here. And I don't think the Broncos, Steelers, or Chargers will trade with us, but the Packers might. The Packers are kind of one of my teams that I am trying to discern whether they're tradable or not. So I'm going to take a look at that. And if we had to give up 95, we could go up to 23. And maybe we could get 159 back. Yeah, we could. Could we get 124? Probably. So we move back from 95 to 124, and we move up from 31 to 23. That's a trade that I would look at, because this is right about where Brett Veach will start trying to make deals, here at about 19, 20. Now, again, 2021, 22, those aren't teams that are going to trade with the Chiefs more than likely. There's always a possibility, but more than likely they are. So the two targets were 18 and 19 up above, and now 23 and 24. Those are the most likely trade candidates. I'm not going to go for that right now, because if I go back and we look at who's come off the board, it hasn't been a big offensive tackle run. So I do think there's a couple of options out there. Membo's off the board, and Campbell's off the board. Okay, So what we're looking for, in my opinion, right here is a low round one grade for me is going to be Josh Simmons because he's coming off of an injury. Kelvin Banks out of Texas, as well as Josh Connerly, who's going to be right on the edge of the first round by my grading scale. So I'm going to let this ride, and we're going to see what we get. That is the most priority that I could see putting in an actual first-round pick in the offensive tackle spot, or grabbing one of the defensive line group because there are so many of them. There will be options there. So I'm just going to let the draft go, and we'll see what we get here. So what we did see between 23, Nolan went. He's had a little bit of trouble here this run up, but he did get himself to the point where he went off the board here. He might actually be an option for the Kansas City Chiefs a little bit later. Simmons went off at 22, so we did miss out on him. And Banks went off at 26. That's what I was thinking could be similar. Maybe we'd try to move up. Didn't materialize. So what you're left with is Scorton, who I don't think is necessarily a great fit in Kansas City. He's more of a stand-up outside linebacker, in my opinion. I don't see as much from him in Spags defense as I see from others. The guy who just went off the board in Colston Loveland to the Bills, I don't think that's a likely pick, but this is what it did in this scenario. Would have liked to seen him available for the Kansas City Chiefs. So as we look here, the defensive front is not particularly impressing me. Oh, I didn't need linebackers. I need DIs. So this is defensive interior. Darius Alexander is kind of a freak, but I don't think he's a first-round grade. I actually have Williams, I think, is a better prospect, and I do like him quite a bit. If pressed, we could do that. TJ Sanders, I haven't had a chance to run down yet, and Scorton, as I said, isn't quite the fit that I'd like. Landon Jackson, same thing. He's really high cut, long legs, and I don't think he's Spags kind of guy. So I'm not sure that that's the fit. So it brings us to our number one overall need, and I don't think there's any reason why we go away from Josh Connerly. Jalen Moore doesn't really make me do that because you want as much depth on this line so that Patrick Mahomes never has to deal with anything ever again that looks like the protection we saw in the Super Bowl. So we're going to go ahead and draft him. Unless there's a trade down scenario that's tight. Oh, the Jaguars moving back 5 spots. Well, if you give us 70, I'll consider it, but they won't. Maybe they'll give us 88. 50% chance. Okay, if I throw in 257, we'll bump that over 50-50. I would consider this, but with Connerly out there dropping back to 36, that's not what I want to do. I was hoping Cleveland would come in and maybe be interested, but they're not. So we're just going to take Connerly, and we're going to get on the board here. So long story short, trying to take value, trying to take somebody that's going to fit in with this team and its needs. Now, a lot of possibilities here on this particular board that I do like. We don't have any trade options, so we're not going to get anything done. So it's going to be best available at this point. When we look at the defensive interior, both edges and DIs, Turner's a question mark. Norman Lott is a good player. We have a pick in 3 picks. I'd like to try to get one of those guys then if we have the chance. Because there's one that stood out to me that I do think will not be there when we pick next. Let's take a look real quick at the wide receivers. Nobody that's screaming to me that they have to be had right now. And we covered the offensive tackle. So best player for fit on my board right now that could walk in and make an impact, I think, is Arroyo. Because I do think a tight end of his caliber that can stand up and run routes much like Travis can, I think that there's a reason to add him in there, if nothing more than a big slot. And I think if we wait till 66, he'd be gone. So I'm going to draft him and get him on the board. Porter goes next, then Jalen Milroe. Wonderful for me, wonderful for you. I think we're in good shape here. So it comes down to Shamar Turner or Norman Lott. And I think for a fit, I think both could work. Turner, the big thing on him is production. And I think there are some definite questions there. Only, not even 21 pressures on the season on what was a good 300 pass rush snaps. There's reasons people are concerned here. So I am a little bit less going out on him. I do like Norman Lott, so I think we will throw him on this roster at 66 and be happy. We're going to see what happens at the next pick because there's a lot of options here. And I think this is really kind of the sweet spot For last minute fits. We could move back to 137. That's an entire round, and I will not do that. Giddens is a home run hitter from K-State, and I know a lot of you Wildcat fans are going to want him here. It's just too early for a running back for me, as much as I would like Devin Neal as well. Again, too early. So is there anyone else that stands out in this group? Bond, possibly. Parrish at the corner spot, that could be a possibility as well. But my guy's here. And I think I'm going to be consistent because I do think in terms of giving Spags what he needs, I want to make sure that this is a draft that builds in the trenches. A lot of folks will say Deion Walker. I'm not convinced. I've done some film, not all of it yet, but I'm not convinced there. The guy that stands out to me that I know can rush from the edge and I know can go inside and could be Mike Dana plus is Ashton Gelati. And I think the fit there is just too good for me to pass up. And with no reasonable trade back offer, I think I'm just going to do it and put him on this roster and call it done because I know he'll be able to play snaps for this defense. I know that he'll be able to help the rotation. With a Menahue back, I think that does change things. So it is somebody that I think doesn't have to fit into one role, but could fit into many. Now we're on the clock at 133, and we have an offer to move back around, but again, I don't want to move back an entire round. And so now we start looking at positions we don't necessarily have to hunt for. And the way that this has fallen, there's not a lot of wide receiver talent that's really making me say, I have to go get you. I know Hudson's kind of interesting, and I know folks like Nick Nash, but I haven't been able to do any film on him yet. So I'm going to leave that to Dan more than me. So that's the wide receiver group. Let's take a look at the running back group because this is where I would start to entertain the idea. And Tootin is a home run hitter. He's got the speed. And I do like that aspect here. I do like the way Jordan James plays the game, but he'll be a late day 3 guy, as will some of these others. Donovan Edwards, will be another home run hitter that could work into the Chiefs system, and I do like that. So the other position that I'm really keen on here in the 4th round is the cornerback group. You have Burke from Ohio State still out there. Quincy Riley's done some good things. I don't see anybody that's making me want to take them, though. So I think unless we want to fill in a particular linebacker, I think Kaiser could help some. Let's see, just looking through these players real quick. Again, nothing's really reaching out and grabbing me that they have to go do. We've done a good job to this point solidifying the interior with an offensive tackle, 2 defensive front guys, and a tight end. Well, let's add a little bit of punch and let's bring in Tootin for that home run hitter possibility there at 133. Now, we got a long ways to go. This is going to tick down quite a bit till we get to the end. And then we're going to have what I think are going to be some interesting decisions. So a couple of players that do stand out. And again, want to build from the trenches in this draft. Want to make sure that we're leaving ourselves some outs for adding players that can just help the general depth of this team. Malachi Moore's played a lot of snaps. Not sure he actually has a home. We'll see if he pans out in the NFL, but he's fallen from starter all the way down to iffy player. I like Jimmy Horn, what he brings at the wide receiver spot. I have to say that out loud. I love Ty Robinson. So we'll see if we can work that in here to the next couple of picks. Might have to be earlier rather than later. Let's see. Kyron Lacey's been on a whirlwind. Don't know what to make of where that value stands in the off the field pieces. And I know the Chiefs will be taking that into consideration. But I will say this. Jimmy Horn's a possibility that I would like to entertain. But I just can't pass on my guy, Ty Robinson. So, again, another guy that can fill in and play D-end, can D-tackle mostly, and can fit in and give young depth to Spags' front. I'm going to grab him now because I know the fit is there. And we're going to see what the last couple of players in this draft are going to look like for the Chiefs. Unlikely that anyone picked here is going to make this roster. So we can feel free to take our stabs at it and do whatever we think might hit home. And as I scroll down here and just take a look at some of these players, I know not everybody's going to be listed here. but some of them that are available. We're down to the back. Oh, I do like that one too. And it does give me some pause as to some of these rankings, because there's a couple players here I didn't expect to be here, and honestly really shouldn't at this point be down here, or even draftable like KJ Jefferson. Not a draftable prospect in my mind. So we're going to take some chances. We'll go Kyron Lacy, who has had some production. You can see the yardage was there. Reception per yard was decent, but obviously has some stuff going on. Chiefs are never scared to take a project and give it a shot. And then we're going to come back, and I'm just trying to make everything more athletic, more speed. Let's take a look at the corner group, see if there's anybody that I had left on my list. Nope, my list has been picked over, so that's out. Running back list, I know we already took one, but you always got to keep in mind sometimes there's this, and there's another home run hitter. So if you want depth and you want to be able to put someone in the practice squad that you think you're going to be able to use in the future, let's not screw around. We'll add Donovan Edwards as well. And now you have 2 home run hitters at the wide receiver spot, and we have what we think is going to be a draft that can help everybody. As we go through, ended up with Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle, at 31. Arroyo lasted till 63. Don't think that actually happens, but glad it did in this scenario. Then Norman Lott comes back for the defensive line at 66. Ashton Gillott at 95 is going to help that rotation well. And then we start to get into the possibilities. Home run speed from Tootin. Ty Robinson to help the rotation on the defensive front. Kyron Lacy, cross our fingers. Donovan Edwards with another home run hitter. Let me know what you think of this. I just want your comments, pluses, minuses, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you like in the comments. I would appreciate it. Just wanted to get this one done. Sorry that it's not our normal kind of thing, but as I'm in a hotel room and traveling, this is the best that I could do. So forgive the echo a little bit. And when I'm back in the States, we'll get back to normal. So thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. Have a great one. Like, sub, and hit the bell, and we'll catch you next time.